The Eagles, the only thing I have to say is they are the best winning football team in the league. It is impressive what they do. It's impressive how Sirianni and this organization operate and just consistently win. It's annoying, but I have to give them another shout out this week. It's impressive what they do. And it was an
Yeah.
impressive win. Only negative, we got to figure out this tush push. We can't just be jumping off sides in the prime time game where cameras are everywhere and everyone can see it. Like, I don't know how referees don't see that. I don't know how they don't see that. Like, you have to suspend these referees. It is the most obvious thing. And then you let the Eagles do it, and then we're going to follow it up, and the Packers do it, and you call them for a false start. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. That was my thoughts on the game for the Eagles. Everything else was great from the Eagles. I don't know if you want to add to that.
No.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on to the AFC East. Look at you. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. B Team, we're back. Another episode here on the B Team Airwaves. I love, absolutely love the look tonight, Mike. Wins one football game. The boys are back buzzing. The boys are buzzing. 4-6. 4-6, right? Or is it 4-5?
The Jets?
Yeah.
Brother, we are 2-7.
You're 2-7?
Yeah.
It comes up. It feels like you guys have a lot more wins than you do.
I wish that was the case, but it
Two and
never
seven.
is,
You're two and
unfortunately.
seven. You're right in the mix. You're one game back of Miami, who just beat the Bills. You're basically in second place in the division.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we are second place for the number one overall pick. I think
Yeah,
we're in third now.
exactly. We're chilling. You guys are so before we get into all of that, right? Because we are here to talk about football. I get that. Let's not jump right into the Jets games. We got plenty more to talk about that's way more important than the freaking Jets and Aaron Glenn and what they got going on this season.
Like, follow, subscribe, back to the show.
So,
Oh yeah.
huge news coming out of the NFC East with the New York Giants. Brian Daboll is fired after blowing another double-digit lead, seeing his star quarterback, rookie quarterback, get hit a million times and leave the game with another concussion. I mean, we had to all see this coming, right?
I mean, it was kind of a like yes and no because the Giants have. I mean, losing Scat kind of caused everything. I mean, that just goes to show like what Scat was kind of doing in a way. Like it's not like they were losing the game big time. They did blow another lead, especially with that defense. Like that shit can't happen, man. Like that's a very good defense, and head coaches has it's a whole domino effect. DC's got to be better too. Defensive coordinators got to be better, put them in better situations. But so does Daboll. Daboll, once Jackson Dart, beat Philly at MetLife, it looked like his job was safe. But then, a couple losses later, the one in Denver, obviously the one on Sunday, that can't happen, man. Your team could be in a very different situation right now. Now, granted, were they going to make the playoffs? It was probably unlikely, but it was kind of a shocker to me. It seemed like it was going to happen, but it happened so sudden for in my mind. But where they pivot from here, I don't know. I don't really know who they look for. I think Daboll was an offensive guy. I think they need more of a leader. Whether that's you bring in the right OC, there's gonna be a lot of guys on the market, next year looking for jobs.
Mhm.
Offensive coordinator, shake it up, find someone that can you know see Jackson Dart as someone who could be a top guy, build to his strengths. But as a head coach, that they need somebody like Daboll had it maybe his first year, and then it just didn't work out at the end of the day. So I didn't expect it. All in all, I did not expect it this quickly.
No, I mean, same here. I thought they were going to at least wait till the end of the season and then go their separate ways. See if he was able to develop a chemistry and, was this just a 1 or 2 week thing where a lot of teams don't have film on Jackson Dart and he was able to do some stuff. Um, But no, I thought Jackson Dart and him had a good relationship. They had something going there. Scatterbo, I mean, he's the heartbeat of that team. He's the heartbeat of the offense from the beginning of the season, really, going all the way back to preseason. And he goes down. The offense is going to look 1,000 times different. If we even go a few weeks earlier, Malik Neighbors goes down. Offense is going to look 1,000 times different. Um, I thought that, when the Giants ownership looked at this situation and contemplated, should we get rid of this guy? Should we keep him? I thought they would take that stuff into account a whole lot more than they did. Obviously, they didn't. Um, so now we're sitting here trying to figure out who's going to run this team better than Brian Daboll. And honestly, I don't know if anyone could have run that team with better than him with what he was working with.
And this is my problem. This was the other point I was going to get to. I want to let you speak, but if you're going to fire Brian Daboll, you have to get rid of Joe Sheen. Like, you can't. This is what the Jets have done for years, where they fire one head coach and they keep somebody else. Like, you're kind of forging a relationship that's not meant to be. If it works out, it's rare. When you have your GM that's been there, you bring someone else in. Now they have to work together. I don't think it should be like that, and I think that's a big mistake. I think Joe Sheen has to go as well. Like, my problem is, you need to settle, and you not settle, but like, you need to make sure you have depth. And I don't think the Giants have that. They haven't had that. They haven't had a starting receiving core out there. Malik Neighbors can only do so much. Garrett Wilson can only do so much. Wan'Dale Robinson, good player. I think he's a very good player. I think he excels on this team, but it's you're just not really prepared for it. I know there's so many limited spots on your roster, but I think he's got to go too. Yes, he brought in Dart. Yes, he brought in Scat Pack, and he's made decent moves. But now you're going to try to forge a relationship with Joe Sheen and someone who's never possibly worked with him before. It just kind of a recipe for disaster. So I would not be shocked to see if Joe Sheen is gone by the end of the year. And I think that's the right move. You got to put these guys in a good position, and you can't have someone, fighting for his job while someone else is just trying to make an impression. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I also, I gave a good thought about that probably Sunday night when the rumors started to circulate. You know, he's got a very good rookie quarterback. He's got a very good rookie running back. He's got Malik Neighbors in his second year, third year.
Yeah.
Very good.
Mhm.
He's probably a top 5 wide receiver when he's on the field healthy, full strength. Defense is fantastic. That D line's awesome. Um, Brian Daboll, he loses games consistently by double digits. It happened 4 times this year. It happened before that. The biggest issue, because I say that because a lot of people are going to point to that as the main reason for him getting fired. I don't actually believe that's the main reason for him getting fired, but I'm going to give you the blueprint on how the next coach can keep his job for more than 4 years. All right? Because this team's good enough to win. They're good enough to be 500. They're good enough to sneak in as a wild card into the playoffs with what they got.
Mhm.
The next coach of the New York Giants has to go into every game thinking, I need my quarterback to play next week. That's the main reason I think Daboll was fired. He couldn't keep his star quarterbacks on the field. Every time Jackson Dart went into a game, it was literally like 2 or 3 plays away from him being concussed, him getting a shoulder injury, having an ankle injury. He's the most hit quarterback in the entire NFL. Why are we having a rookie quarterback getting hit this much? I get it. Jackson Dart is electric. He can run those plays. He wants to run that type of offense. But at some point you gotta say to the kid, like, hey, we're trying to have you for 20 years, not for 5 years like in college. We need you to last. And Brian Daboll never put his foot down and said, we need this kid to last 20 years. And I think that's because of what you said. He was coaching for his job from day one this season. He wasn't coaching with the job security of a Bill Belichick who's going in to every season saying, hey, let's just go win, whatever. He's not coaching with that job security. He was coaching with fear, and with that fear came bad decisions with his quarterback, making him run because he was the guy who was going to get it done. And I get it. But at the same time, like, this is why you're fired now. because Jackson
Mhm.
Dart was constantly in the blue tent.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like if Joe Sheen, if he does not get fired, this next draft class, again, you have to focus offense. Like when you have Jackson Dart, who's coming as a rookie and has been producing at the level that he has been. He's essentially a top 15 quarterback in the league right now, which is pretty good for a rookie that just came in, for a dysfunctional organization in the last, decade or so. You know, Evan Neal is still playing right tackle. You know, and you got to focus the line. In my opinion, like I see a lot of similarities with the Jets and the Giants, but the Jets actually addressed their offensive line. They got Olu Fashanu 2 years ago. They got Membu this year, who both of them have been excellent. They bring in Josh Myers from Green Bay, and the O line has been one of the special units of the Jets and one of the better units of the Jets, excluding the special teams.
Mm-hmm.
This league is so different now. Yes, you build for defense, but it's an offensive league, and like I feel like a lot of these coaches have not adapted to it. Maybe, or GMs, maybe the guy from Cincy, but he just completely forgot about the defense and that you got to draft them too. But for Joe Sheen, the defense is not the problem. Yes, they have their moments and whatnot, but your offense, when you listen, no disrespect to guys like Daniel Bellinger and Theo Johnson. I think Theo Johnson is a good player, but you got to be ready. You got to be ready for these moments. And I feel like Joe Sheen just never set them up to be ready for this. O-line, they've had its days, but when Jackson Dart is trying to scramble and go for first downs and he's risking his body just going to get a first down, you respect it. But they're not in a bad position. Like we used to talk a lot of shit on them, and we probably got proven wrong a little bit. That's what happens when you draft a guy like Dart, but
I mean, I'm going to
just build
fight back
around
on
him.
that one, Mike. I'm going to fight back on that solely
Yeah,
because
maybe it was just
when
me,
they
but we did
drafted,
talk a lot of shit on them.
we did. But when they drafted Dart, when they drafted Abdul Carter, when they drafted Scatterboot, we started hopping on the train. We said that this team was different
That's
this
true.
year. We did.
That is true.
But I agree with you. We did talk a lot of shit, and we still will talk a lot of shit. Why? Because both lines still aren't producing at the level they should. The defensive line has been a lot better. It has.
Absolutely.
That
Yes.
offensive line is still like they just have moments where I'm watching it and I don't like. There's college O lines that I could put out there that would do better.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point now where Scat's not there, and you have Tyrone Tree, and it just he ran for what 70 yards, something like that. Good, okay, but red zone, you gotta run the ball, you gotta at least get to the 1 yard line and get some touchdowns. But
Mike, they were.
it's a problem. And listen, Abdul Carter, hold on, Abdul Carter. You had to pick him. There's no thought going into that pick. You can't miss on him. You have to. After all the hype and what you've seen on tape, that's you can't miss pick. All right, credit to you for selecting, one of the best defensive player in the draft. You better not miss on that. But it's going to be real interesting because if he does stay, and April rolls around and we don't hear any news, the season's done, nothing on Joe Sheen. Like this is a big draft. This will definitely be, if he's still with the team, it will be his last year to really prove something and make something happen. So that's the blueprint, man. Like Evan Neal should not be playing football on that team. I'm sorry.
No, I mean it gives me shades of what's going. Well, actually, he just got fired today. But Nico Harrison, whatever his name is, down there in Dallas with the Mavericks, he just got fired today. But it gives me flashbacks to that when he traded Luka. Very similar in trading Saquon away, and then trying to act like getting a very good top 2, top 3 pick is going to solve all your issues. It's not. The Mavs have started absolutely horrible, and they got Cooper Flagg, who is by far the best college talent we've seen in probably the last 3 years. Doesn't matter. The Giants, you got 3 great players this year in the draft. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like the GMs making dumbass decisions have to be held accountable, just like the coaches. Coaches get fired so often, and GMs don't get fired enough. GMs are the ones building the team half the time, more than half the time, for these coaches. And then we're going to say it's the coach's fault. The GM's got to take a look in the mirror because some of them are absolutely abysmal. Look at Philly right now with Howie Roseman. He is a mechanic with that salary cap, mechanic with building a team. The guy he got, what's his name? Something Phillips, I want to say, linebacker. I mean, gets him at the trade deadline. Has a career game last night against the Green Bay Packers. He was probably the best defensive player on the field for them. And who else in the league's doing it like Howie? No one. But you still got to hold yourself to a standard where when you build a team, and if it sucks, right, you got to look in the mirror a lot more often, these GMs, and say, is this team actually built good enough? Did I do a good enough job? Or should we just fire the head coach? And they always just fire the head coach. And it's abysmal. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's ugly. It's not good for the league.
There's always a scapegoat when it comes to, a team playing bad. And, you just want to point fingers. Everybody wants the answers. And, I feel like it's not good for business when you fire a GM and you keep the head coach and whoever else. Like, that guy, he's got to finish out his year. He's got a plan in mind. Like, it's never a case where, in this situation, Joe Sheen gets fired and Daboll still. Like, it's the communication, the ideas, the plans, like everything's done, and when you're finishing out the year, it's just not good for business. It's not a good model. Like, so
yeah.
We shall see. We'll see what happens. My prediction is he does they might give him one more draft. I would be shocked, but I wouldn't. I don't know.
That's what I forgot to
I don't
say
know.
that with the Nico Harrison stuff. I think they're going to give him one more year, not even a year. They're going to give him one more draft and see how next season starts. And if they're just as bad as they were this year, he's gone. He's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, remember, once draft time comes around, you got to stick with him if you believe in his plan or in his this is my last point. If you believe in his vision of what the team is going to look like, then you keep him. But like if it's not clicking and he's going a different route, then hey, pack your bags. Thank you for your time. Wish you the best.
Yeah, he's always going to be remembered for trading Saquon away at the end of the day
and not drafting Jaden Daniels. But hey, Jackson Dart's kind of putting that to shame now. So I wouldn't say shame, but
no, I don't know if we can say the Jaden Daniels one because Jaden Daniels' arm is backwards still, and Jackson Dart is playing well. I mean, concussion protocol. But all right, let's move on here. Let's talk about that. We don't have to talk about that game because we just kind of got into it a little bit, but I do want to talk about the NFC North because it's kind of a wild division right now. The Lions are exactly who we thought they were. Shout out to Dan Campbell. First game back calling plays Sunday. Absolutely dominated. Jahmyr Gibbs dominated. I think he ended with 3 touchdowns, maybe 4, but I'm pretty sure it was 3. They look fantastic. They're now back on top of that division. The Bears, I believe, are tied with them in that division. Then you got the Packers falling. That offense looked bad. Defense was good, but offense bad once again. They lost their second straight game at home to the Panthers and the Eagles now. Both times, the offenses basically scored 13, 16 points, and they lost. Not a great look for the offense. And then the Vikings, I mean, they're on the ropes right now. The Vikings fans are calling for Justin Jefferson's head. They want to trade the guy. I'm seeing it everywhere right now. I don't know if you've seen this. They want to see what they can get for Justin Jefferson because he looks like he doesn't want to be there. He looks so unmotivated. I don't know if you saw this game, Mike. I saw probably half of it. And there was an interception where he easily could have went up there and tried to knock it down, go for it. And he got scared and then never tried to go get the guy. Not a great look. So this division is wild because I believe the Vikings can be great. I believe the Packers can be great. But it's really like the Bears are somehow the second best team in this division. I have more confidence in the Bears than I do the other two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I honestly want to talk about the Lions. I don't really have it was obvious that they were good. People thought they were taking a step back. They're still a dominant team. You just had to find someone who can actually call plays the correct way.
Yeah.
The Bears, obviously we talked to Lucas a lot. For me, like what I've seen is I don't know why people are flip-flopping on Caleb so much. Like, yes, he has his days where he throws 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Then he goes off. And yes, their schedule has been a little bit easier. It hasn't been the toughest schedule, but I actually expected them to make the playoffs, and they're kind of on the verge. But it's a work in progress, Like, I feel like for me, DJ Moore really little overrated in my opinion. He's got to fit in the right system and the right scheme. A lot of mouths to feed, but I thought Caleb has been looking excellent right now. Great scrambling. He throws the ball fantastically on the run, and that works for him. And I think Ben Johnson is realizing that. Let Caleb just play football. Don't make him drop three, like have a three-step drop back and get it out of his hands quickly. He has the weapons. They can get open. Luther Burden, Roma Dunze, Loveland finally should have been used more, and now he's starting to emerge as a top tight end for him. I really liked what I've seen from Caleb Williams, and everyone keeps, oh, he's a bust, he's this. Like, dude, listen, that left side of your O line is not good. Like, it needs to be a very good O line for him to succeed. Like, you need to build that left side, and I thought they played really well. And then with Green Bay, we kind of call them overrated.
Well, you want to hold that? Because we can get into Green Bay in a second here. I want to talk about Caleb real quick.
Sure.
I get the feeling that the way the Bears fan base talks about Caleb Williams is very similar to the way that Jalen Hurts gets talked about by Philly a lot of times, where they do trust him. At the end of the day, they do trust him. They see the good that he does. They see that he can produce. But at the same time, it's like it's never good enough. If he's not doing one thing, they want the other. If he does the other, they want that one. And it's never like like once in a blue moon, it'll be a perfect game for the guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I really like what I'm seeing from Caleb. I thought he was fantastic in that game. Yes, there was a few drives where I'm like, all right, that wasn't great. But when the nitty gritty started to happen and he had to show up and he had to go win that game, he showed up and he went and won that game. He's a baller. There's a reason why he was dubbed the best quarterback of this generation. He was the best quarterback prospect of the last 10 years. There's a reason guys get that, you know? And Caleb Williams showed it this last drive, this last whole game, probably the last 2 weeks. And now he's got the Bears in the 6th seed in the NFC. They're not even the 7. They're in the 6th seed. They're ahead of the Packers. It's impressive what he's doing. Bears fans, you're going to start getting talked about on this show like I talked about Eagles fans. You're going to be the ones that piss and puke all over each other soon because it's frustrating. I listen to Lucas every weekend talk about how the Bears suck, and then you guys win. The Cowboys actually suck, and I'm tired of hearing it. Caleb Williams is good. That team is good. They're good. They're a good wild card team.
For a first year. For a first year head coach like Ben Johnson to just come in here and just pull 6-3 out, like this is a success. It's a big market city. You got a lot of expectation in Chicago. They've had years and years of misery, and since Jay Cutler, the last time they were good, like they've been trying to find the formula to win and at least put out a good team, and they're on the right path. And I think right now what we're looking at 6-3, like throughout almost 10 weeks of football, like I've been impressed with what I've seen. Again, the competition, they like when they've played good teams, it's been rough, but listen, they're beating the teams they should. And is it by comebacks? Yes, it is. Did they win with a last second drive against Cincinnati? Yes, they did. But I think the future is bright for them. And Caleb, I'm telling you what, man, the way he moves in the pocket and the way he throws on the run, like him throwing on the run is like him throwing just standing in the pocket. Good zip on the ball. Listen, can he be thrown a little bit easier when he's on the run? Yeah, but listen, he's a quarterback. He's trying to make plays. You're a professional receiver. You got to catch him. You're there for a reason. So that's my take on the Bears. Vikings.
Yeah. Wait, I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
One more thing. So I do want to. This Bears team, we're going to be talking about them at the end of the season. There's going to be two options, because they got a tough schedule down the stretch. I believe they have the Vikings next week. Then they go Steelers, Birds. And then they go, it's either Green Bay, Browns, Green Bay, or Green Bay, Browns, someone, Green Bay. And then they have the Lions, whatever. It's a tough schedule. A lot of names on that schedule. And if they can go 500 down the stretch of this season, I think they get into the playoffs, 1. And 2, we're going to be talking about them as one of the contenders next year, especially after
absolutely.
So I'm very interested to follow the Bears the rest of the season, because I do think that they can be a very, very good team. They have the foundation. I thought DeAndre Swift actually had a good game this week. I know everyone's pronounced him dead, but the guy still got something in there.
He does, yeah. And I think what you said with the schedule. The next three games are, you see that's going to be a true testament of what the Bears really are. You got the Vikings in the divisional matchup, good defense. The Vikings are looking for a win. Steelers, their defense is always good. And wherever that's going to be played at, you're going against Aaron Rodgers. You're going against a very good defense, and you're going against T.J. Watt. And then who's the third team you said? You said the
I
Eagles,
said
right?
the Eagles. Yep. And then they go
Yeah,
Packers, Browns, Packers.
yeah, another game, Philly. If it's in Philly, it's a tough matchup. The defense, obviously, last game played phenomenal. They added more players before the trade deadline. So Ben Johnson's going to scheme up a lot. And now it's really just the old line. The old line's got to protect him because you're going against three very good defensive lines in those teams. They got to find ways, and it can't be just basic. Ben Johnson's got to pull out all the tricks in his bag.
Yeah. All right, like if they go 500, so if you break it into 3-3-2, these three games, Vikings, Steelers, Eagles, I think they easily can go 2-1 with what they've shown the last couple of weeks. I think they can beat the Steelers because the Steelers, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, did you see the picture of him, by the way, when he got hit?
No, I did not.
All right, I got to find that and send it to you. So next time you're talking, I'll find it. But I think they can beat the Steelers. I think the Vikings have been miserable for a few weeks now. So I think that one can definitely be a win. The Eagles is going to be a tough one. I think they can pull it out, but it's going to be a tough one. And then the next three is Packers, Browns, Packers. You're guaranteed to win against the Browns. They're tanking. You got to go 500 against the Packers, right? So you go 2-1, 2-1. We're looking at the last two games, 49ers and Lions. You win one of those, you're in the playoffs for sure. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
They got to play this. We
It's
got to play in groups of three the rest of the season. They got to go 2-1 somewhere. They got to go 2-1 in another area. We can't be having 0-3 streaks. We can't be having 1-2, 1-3 streaks. We got to go 2-1. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1.
And the Packers, listen, they started off hot the start of the year, but they've really shown their true colors, in my opinion. You got to take one from them. That you got two divisional matchups. You can take one from them. It's not the old times where the Packers are. You got Rodgers there and he just dominates the Bears. Like, no, that's a winnable game. Ben Johnson is going to scheme up. You got to look at the head coaching matchups. And Ben Johnson, he's a tactician. He just knows how to run the offense. He's going to put them in good situations. He has to. He's done this for a while now, calling plays. But yeah, they are an interesting team, and it's funny. I'm moving on to the Vikings. I need to talk about them.
We can move on now. We can enough of the Bears.
It's funny, I wonder why, the Vikings are where they at right now. Maybe, JJ McCarthy, they put a lot of eggs in that basket. You know that, right? They put all of the eggs in the basket. And they could have just put it all on Sam Darnold. At the end of the day, they just could have they could have just gave him a contract after, going 14-3 last year and losing the playoffs. Okay, sure. But you went 14-3 and it was working. Now you let him go with a similar situation in Seattle, and they are pretty much the number one team in the NFC West, almost the NFC, I believe.
Mike, let's chill the Rams. The Rams.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, they might be tied. I think the Rams and Seattle are tied. I think they have the same record.
All right, whatever. I didn't know we were doing hypotheticals here. No, for the first time all season, Mike. First time all season, I'm actually going to agree with you here. Because J.J. McCarthy, before he played this season, was worth a whole lot more than he is now. Whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
They could have got so much for trading him away. Seattle probably would have taken J.J. They probably would have done it on a cheap deal. You could have got him for some picks. For maybe you could have went and got another wide receiver. You could have went and got some defensive help. The Vikings, it's just a miserable. They look like the Jets. No offense. Like you want that quarterback to be good so bad. So, you're making excuses. You're going out there. You really don't have a chance to win. The defense does okay. The offense, if they had a quarterback, would be good.
Like, follow, subscribe, back to the show.
It was a tough decision, and they were the talk of the offseason because it was, what are they going to do? They have JJ McCarthy sitting there. He's got a year under his belt of just studying and watching. it was kind of there was pressure. There had to be pressure from the owner. Hey, we draft. You guys drafted this guy for a reason. Sam Darnold's going to want a big contract. What are you going to do? It's a tough decision to make at the end of the day. I would not want to be in that situation. But listen, when you see them go 14-3 with Darnold, it's like, do you really think that's a one-hit wonder? If they went 9-8, or maybe like 11-6, maybe it's an easier decision. But 14-3, bro, they went 14-3. It's an incredible record. Yes, did they lose in the first round? Of course. But still, you want to win. You want to bring in the money. You want to keep the fans happy. You want to keep guys like Justin Jefferson happy. He doesn't look happy now. Like, a lot of these guys take, the players that they have for granted. They're trying to rotate, and they're trying to keep the team fresh and keep the team young. But man, look, you got to be kicking yourself right now seeing Seattle just bring in a quarterback, and now JSN is the number one receiver in the league. It's clearly a quarterback issue. Clearly.
Yeah. No, it's, Sam Darnold last year looked fantastic. He looked fantastic. And they had that Vikings team in a win now mentality. They were a win now team. You signed Sam Darnold and you're win now. They're probably fighting for the division right now. They're probably in first, maybe second in the division. With the way the Lions started, probably first if you have Sam Darnold. But when you go with a rookie quarterback, it sets you back because you're no longer win now. Rookie quarterbacks are not going to be win now guys. Yes, Dak Prescott, he got the number one seed. What happened? They lost the first round. Right? You probably could go down the list. You look at Drake May. How did he do his rookie year?
Yeah, exactly.
You look at guys like Zach Wilson, who came out and were supposed to be great. How did he do? Caleb Williams, how did he do?
Daniels,
Mac Jones, Sam Darnold,
Trevor Lawrence.
Mayfield, right? These guys come out and they're rookies. They're not supposed to be great in their first couple of years. They're supposed to be great in that third, fourth, on the 20 years.
And if you find a good quarterback off the bat, great. Like if you find someone like a Jackson Dart, like a Jaden Daniels, even Bo, yes, Bo has kind of slipped a little bit, but like you see the potential that these guys have, and you see that they're racking up wins. It's like it's hard. I mean, clearly not for the Vikings, but it's kind of hard to move from that. Like, because I mean, I feel like the writing's on the wall, but again, there's contract, situations and whatnot. You would have had to give Darnold the bag. Financially, you probably saved millions just having JJ sit there and play. So, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of, things that fall into place. But yeah, man, it's, it's going to bite them in the ass at the end of the day. Like, you see that, and now you have to put your eggs. You can't just switch now. You have to play JJ McCarthy. You have to give him more time. So, and JJ's contract, he just got signed. What's he going to want? Does he see the vision as, a winning football team? Are they going to trade him for picks and, rejuvenate their capital? We'll see.
But Mike, I see the writing on the wall. We're going to be looking at this in a year. Maybe he's better next year. This is still his rookie year, technically. It's still his first year playing. So, we've always took the stance of, when these rookie quarterbacks get drafted, you got to give them time. Maybe give them a year to learn, and then give them a year, and then maybe the year two, when they're really playing, they figure it out. Year three, they figured it out, right? So we're going to be looking at this next year, and the Vikings are going to be trying to move on from JJ already. When in reality, if you just give him another year or two, right? He's a rookie quarterback. He's just come to the NFL. And let's not act like he was supposed to be the end-all, be-all of the NFL when he showed up. He wasn't. He wasn't Caleb Williams. Right. So I don't know. I just think I feel bad for him because I feel like Vikings fans who have been behind him, he keeps coming out with these weird phrases. Like he calls his alter ego Nine. He calls himself Nine on game day, which is fucking hilarious because let me tell you, Nine has been absolute dog shit so far. But
yeah,
like JJ McCarthy, we're gonna be looking at this at the end of the year, and we're gonna have people saying like, "Oh, should they move on from JJ?" Like, no, now you got to stick with it. The problem now that rises from this is you're probably going to have to get rid of Justin Jefferson. You're probably going to have to get rid of some of these big name guys because they're not going to want to stay there. Justin Jefferson, you can already see he's like Stephon Diggs. It's something in the water in Minnesota. They just become a cancer in the locker room the moment that a quarterback goes wrong. Like, this is gonna happen, and you know it. You know it. I see you know it.
And it's funny because again, like they were literally they were tied with the Lions for the #1 seed in the playoffs. Lions beat them the last game of the season, bumped them to what, #2, and then they
Well,
just
yeah,
completely,
but they would
they
be
let,
number five. Number five.
yeah,
Yeah.
#5, and then they get rid of Sam. They were pretty much in win now mode at that point, and now I feel like they're kind of starting over. It's like they just threw away a potential, Super Bowl contending team. Funny enough, even
Yes.
no matter how much people hate Sam Darnold, it's like when you look at a team that's 14-3, well, where people are saying, "Oh, they're frauds," like, yeah, maybe, but like, they
They
just kind of
still
threw it
did
away.
it.
Like, okay, huh?
They still did it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can be frauds, but at the end of the day, you were still a two-loss team going into the playoffs or three-loss team, whatever it ended up being.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how hard that is to do in the NFL? Because there's probably 99% of NFL players will never be a part of a two-loss team in the NFL
Yeah. Damn
going
right.
into the playoffs. Like, think about how hard that is and how special that is. And they said at the end of the year, that was really sick. Loved it. Loved the clips. Loved the hype in the locker room. We're gonna blow it up.
Are
Like,
Vikings fans
that's a
saying they miss Sam
wild
Darnold?
thought to have. Why would you trade Sam Darnold away when you had it great? I get it. You thought JJ was going to be the truth. I get that. But you could have got picks. You could have got a lot more for JJ, just trade him away or let him sit another year and sign Sam Darnold. Nothing's changed in terms of JJ's contract with Sam Darnold leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. It's very frustrating that they thought that riding JJ and Carson Wentz's coattails was going to get them anywhere close to the playoffs.
Like they might have, last thing here for me, like they might have seen something behind, at practice, in the film room, they could have seen the character and what he was doing. But I wonder if, I'm not on Vikings Twitter or anything. Like, are there guys that are like, why did we trade away Sam Darnold? There has to be. There's got to be, because they see him flourishing in Seattle right now. Like, damn, we let that guy go. No one believed in this guy at all. I was like, me and fucking like Colin Coward or someone, like, this guy's got it. Like, this guy has it. Whoever has him, like, is lucky. And like, it's like,
You
how
know who
much more
supported
did
him?
you have to see?
Yeah. You know
Huh?
who supported him? Jets fans and Colin Coward. That's who supported him.
Literally.
That's it.
Literally.
That's
Not
all that
not
supported
like
him.
50% of Jets fans. Like, Carlo Perugini knows this. When we drafted Zach Wilson, I was like, why, bro? Like, why? Why? Like, there's no need to draft this kid. There's no reason. Penei Sewell sitting right there. He's one of the best offensive tackles in the league. Like, Jamar Chase was sitting there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, good for Sam. I'm happy for Sam. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right, let's move on from this division. Well, actually, let's get into the Packers Eagles game. We can talk about the
Okay.
Packers a little bit here. Fake, you said it earlier, fakest team in the entire NFL. I mean, week one Super Bowl champions. Congratulations. Kudos to
Hmm.
y'all up there in Green Bay. Bunch of fucking idiots. Um, Micah Parsons is playing very good. Can't get to the quarterback. No surprise there. Um, Jordan Love looked okay. I mean, bad. This, I don't know how I can nicely say this, but Mueller was once again right. When you tried to tell me that this team could possibly be good, and Carlo tried to tell me that these wide receivers were good enough for Jordan Love, these wide receivers are absolute dog trash. Absolute dog trash.
It's a problem.
They're bad. They're so bad. They're not
It's
good. Jordan Love, I think, is a very good quarterback. I think they have two very good lines. I think the defense is top three in the league. The wide receiver room on the Green Bay Packers for like the eighth year running is so bad. It's bottom three in the league, I think.
yeah, it's they drafted Matthew Golden. Obviously, he didn't play in that game, but Jaden Reed's still out. Romeo Dobbs has actually had a very good year for, being a wide receiver 3, but they're missing. They're banged up, and it's been an issue. And you called it too. Like, it was always a mediocre receiving room. It's always been like that. They never really had the true number one. Jaden Reed would, showed flashes that he can be. He can't stay on the field. Matthew Golden really hasn't had the action like that. Yes, they lost Tucker Kraft too, and that was a big, big, big
Huge
loss. So, yeah, they need to really focus on, because the way that they have their receiving core built out is they have 3 speedy guys and 1 guy who has good hands and is physical. They need to be more balanced. They need to take a look at the Colts and see how they use their receivers. Deep threat, Matthew Golden, kind of a deep threat slot guy. Jaden Reed, it's just their problem is they're banged up, and like they don't have the depth to really overcome it. Savion Williams, they drafted him too. He hasn't really done much. So just the strange situation that's happening in Green Bay right now. Because I agree that defense is very good. I mean, you're holding the Eagles to 10 points. Like, that's a win. That's a win if you hold them. And granted, they have their own issues too with their OC, and their offense really hasn't been clicking like it should. But you look at the defense did their job. That was not an issue on the defense. Devontae Smith made a great play. But yeah, that offense, I don't know, man. Just mysterious shit down there.
And it's weird because, I look at the Micah Parsons trade, and I'm starting to, every day, every time I see the Packers play more and more, I'm not understanding why they did it. I get why, but I don't understand why they did it. Because the defense, yes, Micah Parsons has to have his own, they got to watch him a little bit different than other guys. But they got a lot of pieces. They have a lot of very good players. The defense is solid with or without Micah. Micah just enhances it because he's unreal. But I don't know why they didn't do this type of move for the offense. They had Devontae Adams for years. They had Jordy Nelson. They had a lot of guys that, offensively could give them a lot. And I know that listen, we got the quarterback down. We got the running back down. We have the tight end down. Who's your wide receiver that you can go to no matter what? You haven't had that since Devontae Adams left.
They haven't found it. They have not found it. And, Matthew Golden's a rookie, but to have him fill a role like that, and, Jaden Reed, who's pretty much almost out for the year, you had to fill that role, and they haven't. And they need to make a move fast. It's not going to happen this year, but it's going to happen next year. And there are going to be a lot of guys, a lot of veterans that are going to be, having expiring contracts. You got to find a way to bring them in. You need that leadership, and I think that's another thing that they're missing is that veteran leadership. Dobbs is a 3-year guy. Jaden Reed's like a 3 or 4-year guy. But again, that guy, it's not really moving the needle. You don't know what you're going to get from these guys every single week. I do believe in Matthew Golden. I do think he's going to be better over time, but not now. Just not right now. You got to get someone in there who's going to be a true number one. And they've been missing that, like you said, since Devontae Adams, because when you have a true number one like Devontae, you're going to have a solid number 2 guy like Jordy. And that could be a Jaden Reed. That could be a Matthew Golden. And then you got a wide Tucker Kraft, wide tight end 1. They're such a strange team because I feel like they are definitely better than what we like. They're definitely a good team, but they just haven't shown it.
Yeah.
They haven't lived up to the hype.
I'm not saying Jordan loves Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not saying that the Packers are anywhere close to what the Chiefs have done over the last 5 to 6 years. But the way that their team is built now, I feel like if you take the model that the Chiefs have used, right? You have a Matthew Golden, you have some of these speedsters. You have to go get a guy that you can go to in the red zone on a corner route and just throw it up there. You got to find a guy like Devontae Adams who can he's going to go out wide, and you could throw it up to him no matter what happens on the field, no matter what point in the game it is. And he's going to go get that ball because they don't have that. And that's something that the Chiefs have in their locker because you have the Tucker Kraft. He can be your Travis Kelce, right? You got the run game. Run game's actually more solid than the Chiefs probably. Like the Packers have the foundation to do it. And that's where I'm baffled about why. Like I get it. You don't have many chances to go get a premier player like Micah Parsons. But when you have a chance with the capital that you had to go get someone to help Jordan Love out, and you just didn't. And I get it,
Mhm.
like those guys weren't injured at that moment. But I like even at the beginning of the season, I'm looking at that offense, I'm looking at that wide receiver room, and I'm not saying that that's strong. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
all right, we
You've been
can move.
saying it for a while.
Yeah, let's move on here. Let's get into the AFC East. Well, I guess wait, we didn't even finish talking about the game with the Eagles. The Eagles, the only thing I have to say is they are the best winning football team in the league. It is impressive what they do. It's impressive how Sirianni and this organization operate and just consistently win. It's annoying, but I have to give them another shout out this week. It's impressive what they do. And it was an
Yeah.
impressive win. Only negative, we got to figure out this tush push. We can't just be jumping off sides in the primetime game where cameras are everywhere and everyone can see it. Like, I don't know how referees don't see that. I don't know how they don't see that. Like, you have to suspend these referees. It is the most obvious thing. And then you let the Eagles do it, and then we're going to follow it up, and the Packers do it, and you call them for a false start. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. That was my thoughts on the game for the Eagles. Everything else was great from the Eagles. I don't know if you want to add to that.
No.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on to the AFC.
No.
All right, I'm going to let you kind of talk about it because this is your division, but I'm just going to give a quick rundown of what occurred on Sunday. So the Jets won against a Browns team that's clearly trying to tank. The way that they operate on offense was kind of embarrassing. Dylan Gabriel, that was scary how poor he played in the air. Miami, good again. I think. I don't know. I think they I have my own ideas that we can get into. If you start talking about them, I'll bring them up. If not, whatever. But Miami looked very good. Buffalo, um, question marks because you just beat the Chiefs and then you're going to follow it up and lose to a team that has been terrible for the whole year. They're on a
Mhm.
7 game losing streak, I think. And then the Patriots, I mean, great. They're everything that you said they were last week. I was wrong. You were right. You're smart. I'm dumb. You're handsome. I'm ugly. I'll go through that whole stint. Travion Henderson coming out, game 2 touchdowns, like 150 yards. Drake May, I mean, he's got an MVP loading right now. You got Mike Vrabel on the sideline. He's doing fantastic. The boys love him. Probably going to win Coach of the Year. Patriots are top of the AFC East. Um, Crazy, crazy what's going on here. I'm going to give you the reins, so give me a rundown. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick up right where you left off. That Pats team is absolutely legit. I know you said something what was it, a couple weeks ago if I thought Buffalo or the Patriots were going to win the division. I forget what I said. I might have said Buffalo, but I definitely said the Patriots are making the playoffs. Dude, they look strong. Like they, and again, you got to give credit to freaking the organization because they are loaded on all sides of the football. Their offense, they draft Kayshon Boutte, gambling stud, and they bring in Stephon Diggs. Like they have, it's not like their weapons are like the best, but you bring in Mac Hollins, you draft Kyle Williams, you make a trade for him. I'm pretty sure. Not you didn't draft him,
Yeah.
but man, they set themselves up for success. And you got to give credit to Josh McDaniel because he's known that organization forever. Robert Kraft obviously trusts him with the play calling. You bring in Mike Vrabel, like that's how that's how a true organization is run. You bring in guys that have meshed. Josh McDaniels has coached this team or has been a coordinator for this team for years. Mike Vrabel has played for this team. He's had success as a head coach. He is a leader of men. He led the Titans to almost an AFC. I'm pretty sure the AFC Championship game with Tannehill. Could be wrong there.
Mhm.
You might fact check me, but
Oh, absolutely.
man,
That sounds right.
they just play so well, and I got to give Drake May a lot of credit, man, because he looks good, and like it's funny because when you watch him, like he just has such a slow delivery, but it's on point. He's finding the open guys. He's throwing it accurately, and they finally, it's crazy because I'm watching them like enjoying like what they're doing. And I'm like, this is the Patriots. And I'm like, I'm picking them every single week and they're winning. They're winning me money. Travion Henderson finally has a breakout game and they finally give him the ball. That's all you have to see. Don't put Ramondre Stevenson back in, okay? Travion Henderson is clearly the number one overall back on that team. Start him. He is that good. He is that good. Please play him. And it's not even like the players that usually like guys like Hunter Henry, he has his games where he has a couple of receptions for 20 something yards and maybe one touchdown or zero touchdowns. Like sometimes he doesn't have to go off for that team to win. Kayshon Boutte didn't even play, and they still won. Mm-hmm. And that's a good Bucs team. So they're legit. 100%. I believe in them. They are a very good team. Buffalo, that game was, I don't know, man. Like you can't lose to a game like that against Miami. Listen, Miami will always give trouble to Buffalo, always give New England problems too. But they just looked flat. They looked flat right out the gates. Josh Allen really wasn't throwing like downfield. He still ended up with like almost 300 yards, but like there wasn't anything special about that offense. Keon Coleman might not be the guy. It might be early, but I just didn't see anything from that team against Miami. Got to give Miami credit because where they are right now. Chris Greer finally leaves. McDaniel's coaching for his job, and they pulled out a big win against Buffalo. Again, it's their star players. Like when you feed them the ball, Jalen Waddle is going to get open. He's a top 10 receiver in this league. Ache's a top 3 back in this league. When you get these guys involved, like they're going to make shit happen. You got to give credit to McDaniel and Tua. Like McDaniel for sure because he put them in a situation to succeed. But the defense played well. They played with some fire and some energy. I like Anthony Weaver as a DC. I think he gets those guys going. I said that defense is shitty, but they are shitty, but they have their games. They're very up and down, very up and down defensive unit. But yeah, man, like the Bills are a little sketchy right now, and you'll hear from me when I do my top 10 where I have Josh Allen, but. He's still having a top 5 year, but it seems like it's like an underwhelming type of season. It's not like he's doing what he usually does, but he is. It just doesn't feel it. And then the Jets, 2 good wins in a row. I'll just jump into them real quick. 2 very good wins in a row.
Special teams.
Yeah, dude, they have one of the better special teams units in the league right now. Nick Folk has been incredible. You trade away Sauce, you trade away Quinnen. You're pretty much done for the year. You're tanking. But, for the morale, not having Garrett Wilson either. Listen, I got to give him credit because Breece Hall was a big name on the trade market, and they kept him, and they're showing why. And they're proving their point. This is why we didn't trade Breece Hall. Yeah, the Chiefs might have wanted him, but we're sticking to this price because he's that good of a player. You saw it. You saw it last week when you get him out in open space. And, a lot when people are going to look at him as a fantasy guy, he's do this. Like, dude, listen, number 1, he's on the Jets. Number 2, when you actually give him the ball and when you actually run the offense through him, dude, he's incredible. He's an incredible fucking player. He's insane. But yeah, listen, Justin Fields, that's a problem though. Yeah, that's a big problem. Usually guys leave the Jets and they're good. I don't see I don't see it happening with Fields. He's kind of turning to Russ. Like it's a.
I think it's different. You said guys leave the Jets and become good. I think it's different when you were somewhere else and you come to the Jets. Like there's a disconnect. You got to start at the Jets, go somewhere else, and be like, "Oh shit, this is how it's supposed to be." Yeah, you got to go from the dumps to the riches, not the riches to the dumps.
Yeah, and I've said this too. Like Darren Muji. Listen, I got to give him credit for the trades because we posted the video of my reaction. Just to reiterate it, like it was just an offer he couldn't refuse, especially with the Sauce deal. When someone's paying 2 first-round picks for that, and they'll be later end first-round picks in the first round, And then Quinnen, obviously, get rid of him. These guys deserve to be on good teams because they're that good of players. Garrett Wilson, you got to keep because he's a guy you got to build around. He's just too good of a player. Listen, I've scrutinized him a lot about not building the receiving core. And it still is not there, clearly, because Breece Hall literally carried and the special teams. But it was a very good win for Aaron Glenn. I thought Aaron Glenn, the way he coached that game, was very, very good. And especially that last drive, offsides, gets the Browns jumping to seal the game.
That was awesome.
Like that's very, very good, with a very good coaching job from Aaron Glenn. But yeah, that's my wrap on the AFC East. I mean, right now it's the Patriots that are looking like the strong suitor in that division.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm really excited to see that one come down to the wire because I think the Patriots. I have this weird feeling that it's going to come down to like week 18, and you're going to see the Bills win. It's going to be all on the Patriots. Can they get it done in week 18? So that's going to be an awesome division to watch. I know you're going to be watching for other reasons, see where your draft pick is. But
Yep.
Let's hear your top 10 before we get into mortals here.
Heard. So this was tough, man. I would say this is one of the tougher weeks. I've done this. This is my third time doing it now. Obviously, week 3 was easier, because the guys were healthy. You know who the studs are. Week 6 was a little challenging because you had a lot of risers, you had a lot of fallers. This week, there are a lot of new risers, and it is. I'm even questioning it, but I like it so far. I think the back end, just based off of how they've looked now, the back end will raise some questions. Of course, because let me guess, someone that a lot of people that are from this area watched, but we'll get into that. So let me kick it off here. I know we're at like an hour. Number 10, I got to throw him in there. I'm going to put Darnold in there because of how he's looked. I know the last game, I think he only threw like 18 times, but they were blowing them out of the water, the Commanders. They looked really strong. He did have 2 fumbles, which was, it wasn't costly, clearly, but over the span of the last 3 weeks, Darnold just looks fantastic, and I think he deserves a spot in this. So I'm going to put him number 10. Number 9, I'm going to put Jalen Hurts here, and it's like if people are still arguing about Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback, like you're just a homer. Like at the end of the day, like this Jalen Hurts has done this for pretty much ever since he's been a starter of the Eagles. He's had his moments in the regular season where it's like, what kind of Jalen Hurts are we going to get? He's been up and down. Yes, they're getting wins, and I give the organization a lot of credit, but I just, by the numbers, I just can't put him at top 5 right now, and I just think there are other guys that are providing more and throwing the ball more and doing more for their team than Hurts is. And it's not a knock on Hurts because he's had his moments, but I just don't think right now he is. And it's not a knock on him. It's just a very weird situation in Philly. We've talked about it plenty of times. Kevin Patullo issue. I'll move on. I got him at 9. Number 8, I am going to put Baker here. Baker does drop a little bit. I don't think it's him. I don't think it's a him problem. I think it's a personnel problem right now because everyone's hurt. Bucky, or not having Bucky back there is hurting. Having Mike Evans gone for the year is hurting. Godwin out is hurting. It's hard to roll. Ibuka is back. He did well. But, when you have guys like Sterling Shepard out there and Cameron Johnson, Tej Johnson, it's tough to win. And, I give them credit because they fought their ass off against the Patriots. And Baker still looked very good. So, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback the rest of the year, win or lose, because he just always gets it done. So I got him at 8. Number 7, I am going to put Dak there. He does drop a couple of spots. Just a tough couple of games, two game stretch, but I'm not going to look into that a lot. Denver's a tough team in Denver. Arizona, that was a bad game, but you know what? All these guys have had bad games from 6 on. Everyone has had a bad game where it's like, oh, like we're questioning if he's a top 10 quarterback. Dak is still an elite guy. He's still been solid in the regular season. You know this. You watch him every week. I think I see a big bounce back against them and the Raiders. I'm ready to call it now. It's definitely your mortal. I know it is, but it probably is. But no, I like Dak coming off a bye against the Raiders. I think he's going to have a good showing. So I'm going to put him at 7. I think it's a fair number right now.
Mhm.
Number 6, I gotta throw Jared Goff in there. He has been always there, and I've gotten a lot of shit for it. He just continues to play well. Last 5 games, 1 pick, and he just looks so good in the pocket. Again, new system, new OC, and it's like he hasn't even changed the beat. It just continues to ball out. He continues to dominate, and it's a collective effort. But again, you got guys like Jahmyr Gibbs back there. You got to get the ball in his hands as much as possible. But he's just been excellent. He's been excellent. He keeps winning games. He keeps throwing up great stat lines. Pretty sure he was I think he was the number 1 quarterback this week, but yeah, he's been fantastic. Disclaimer, Lamar is not on here yet. He will be, but
We
it's
don't know
just,
that.
my guess is he will, but he's not on here yet because he just got back and it's a little too early. We know he's a top quarterback in this league, but he's just not on it yet. The sample size, we're going by sample size. Number 5, I'm going to put Josh Allen here. Again, very underwhelming season, but still an elite season. I just think that loss to Miami was bad. And it's not all on him. I get it. The Chiefs game, he was very good, but I'm just gonna drop him a little bit right now. Obviously, he has potential to creep up. I just think he's got to get some help from his receivers right now. They got to help him out a little bit. So he's at 5, still a good number. Number 4, I have Herbert. I think Herbert's been excellent. Against the Steelers, that was a big, big win. Lad McConkey was a little shaky, to start the year. He's starting to come around. And again, he's missing Joe Alt. He's missing Rashawn Slater. He's missing Omarion Hampton, and he's getting it done without those guys. You're missing 2 of your best linemen and your number 1 running back, and he's still getting it done. You got to give him credit. As long as, he's going to get a lot of shit, but Herbert has been playing very well. He's a very mobile. People don't realize this. His mobility, running the ball, like Jackson Dart, we say Jackson Dart, Caleb. Justin Herbert can really he's very smart with the ball. So he's very accurate, good player. He deserves it. Number 3, we'll put Mahomes here. I'm going to put Mahomes here, kind of a tough one to rank because he had, 3 very good weeks where he looked like the number 1 quarterback. And then he plays against the Bills. He had an okay game against the Commanders, takes the L against the Bills, but he's just too good not to put here. Since week 4, he's been elite. I just can't look past it. It's Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, I got to put Drake May there. Number 2 is Drake May. 8 out of his last 9 games, 2 touchdowns, at least 2 touchdowns thrown, 250 yards passing in his last 3. It's wild that I have him here. He was a guy that I potentially call the bust. It was JJ and then Drake, but I didn't think Drake was going to make a statement like this from last year to what we saw now. I'm like, my goodness. And then number 1, it's Matthew Stafford. It's clear. I don't know why people are arguing this. It's clearly Matthew Stafford. Bro, he has had no picks since week 3. Week 3, we're going to week 10. His last 3 games, he's had 13 touchdowns. He's been incredible to watch. At his age, how he has been throwing the ball, winning games, he has been, in my opinion, clearly the best quarterback this year. Obviously Baker has been close. Baker MVP, we talked about it. Stafford was number 2, behind, I forget who I thought it was, probably Josh Allen 3 weeks ago. Was he number 2? Let me look real quick. He was number 3. He was number 3 last week, or the last 3 weeks, or 3 weeks ago. Jesus. But yeah, he's been excellent. He just continues to get it done. And I gotta give him some love, man, because not a lot of people are. They're just kind of forgetting about it. But his numbers have been excellent. So let me go through it again. I'll start from 10, go down. Darnold at 10, Hurts at 9, Baker at 8, Dak at 7, Jared Goff 6, Josh Allen 5, Justin Herbert 4, Patty Mahomes 3, Drake May 2, and Stafford number 1. I like the list.
No, I like it a lot. And our lists are pretty similar. For a second there, I thought you were going to go Drake May at number 1. So I was waiting for that top 2. I was trying to figure out who you hadn't said once you said Drake May at number 2. And I actually forgot about Matthew Stafford. He was fantastic this week. It's actually impressive that he doesn't have more interceptions because he does that no-look throw so often. But he's so dialed in with it. It's so impressive. And shout out to him. He finally is back to 500 for a record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's all Detroit's fault.
and that too. But like Puka hasn't even been 100% the last 3 weeks that he's played.
Mhm.
He was injured the one. He was out for against Jacksonville. Still threw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Against San Francisco, a divisional opponent in San Fran. I'm pretty sure as well. Like to to just have an absolute dominant showing. Like they've played each other. Kyle Shanahan and McVay had faced off each other like against each other for so many years now. Like you would figure there's some type of way to stop Matthew Stafford, but there's not because he's just been that fucking good. So yeah, I'm giving him the credit he deserves. I have to.
Have to. Yeah, I agree with you. Love the list. I like it a lot. I know Eagles fans are still going to be pissed because we're one of the best teams. We should have the best quarterback. That's not the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to the mortals. All
Ugh. Shout out to Luke.
right.
Shout out to Luke.
Shout out to
Daboll.
Luke. Luke, you were fantastic this week. 3-0. You got spread over under, and you got the money line pick all correct. Took the Patriots. So
Yeah,
big
big
win
pick.
for us with the parlay at plus 600. So those that rode with us, thank you. Number one and two, you're welcome. Um, yeah, Luke's gonna be back this week. We'll see if he can break the curse. Use this whole year actually. If guys have gone 3-0, they've gone 0-3 the next week for the guests.
Oh,
So
great. Can't wait.
this will be a very interesting week for Luke. Can he break that streak? I think he will. He was dialed in last week. But I'll start off with the spreads. There's one spread, Mike, that I'm really finding it hard not to take. It is Jets plus 12.5 on Thursday
Uh,
night football. I know. But I'm seeing this stuff coming out from Aaron Glenn where he's like, we're up for the fight. We're coming for it. And then I look at the other side of the ball and we got Mike Vrabel, Drake May, and that Patriots team. And I'm just like, this has to be a steamroll. It has to be, right? You know what I mean? So with with saying that, I'm going to be taking the San Francisco 49ers minus 2.5 at Arizona Cardinals. I think San Fran needs a bounce back. I thought they looked very good in the second half of that
Wait a
game
minute.
against the
What
Rams.
did you wait? Hold on a minute. Did you just say the San Fran's are immortal for spread?
Yes.
I was like, wait, did I just hear that right?
Yeah, I mean, they looked horrible in the first half, but the second half they looked great once they got clicking, figured out the defense a little bit. I think Arizona is god awful. Um, it's a very good game to have after that type of performance for San Fran. I know it's in Arizona, but it's inside. Who gives a shit? Um, yeah, I'm taking 49ers minus 2.5.
Yeah. It's this one is just screaming like please take me, and it is a high spread, and I hate that I'm doing this because I did this last week and it kind of fucked me.
Yeah.
And look, I did get screwed bad last. The Bucks with the garbage time touchdown cashes the over. The under was I thought was 100% hitting. Denver, man, bad showing on offense because they had it too. They could have easily scored a touchdown, but it is what it is. I am going to go with another high spread this week. And I got to take Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore because, like you said, Cleveland's kind of tanking, and Baltimore needs wins like now, and they just got to put belt to ass on Cleveland. You got to win games. Division is still in sight. They're 8.5. I think it's either going to be Cleveland's going to win or it's going to be an absolute domination. So I'm going to go with Baltimore here.
I like that. I like that. My over under, keeping it short, sweet, and simple. Detroit Lions score a lot of points. Philly didn't score basically any last week. You got to think they're going to score more than that this week. 46.5. Give me that over.
Yeah, I like that pick, by the way. I'm going to take the under in the Bears Vikings game. I just don't. I think the Vikings defense is going to show out, and I just don't think. I don't know what the Vikings offense is going to show, but I think the Bears are going to get stumped a little bit from the Vikings defense. I'm just going to bank on Minnesota not throwing up 30 points. So the under. I said under, correct? The under. I'm sorry.
Yes.
The
Under
under
47
47 and a half. Yeah,
Well,
under 47 and a half. I'm going to take that divisional game.
gotcha. Nice. All right. I'm like, I don't know if this is a good thing, but I really like our picks so far.
Yeah, wait till you hear my money line.
Well, let's hear it.
Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh.
I have to take Dallas, bro. I'm sorry. Like I'm going to take Dallas because you always do. I'm going to just take them for you. Give me Dallas on off the bye week in Vegas. In Vegas, you're gonna have a lot of Cowboys fans there. I think a lot of fans are gonna be there. I think CD and Pickens are gonna have a hell of a night. Monday night game, could be close, 3.5. But I think Dallas is another team. They need wins. Vegas, they're already benched Geno. It's either going to be Kenny Pickett or Aiden O'Connell. That's a tough ask, but we got to see it from Dallas's defense. This is a big week for them on defense. You got to stop Brock Bowers. You got to stop Genty, and you're going to be all right. All right. Get the win, Dallas. Bring it home.
Yep. I mean, we better win that game. We better. We have to. It's not really we're not tanking, so we better win against the shit teams. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals this week against the Steelers.
Wow. I
Uh,
like that. I thought
Joe
about that too.
Burrow is back, and there's no way listen, this offense owns the Pittsburgh Steelers. We need you to own the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers looked horrible last week. He looked old as
He's
shit.
playing.
What?
Burrow's playing. Burrow's
No,
playing.
he was back at practice.
Oh, okay.
Vibes are high though. Joe
Uh-huh.
Flacco, Joe Flacco, and that spiral, he is playing. Um, yeah, no, give me the
Nasty.
Cincinnati Bengals. I think they put up like 30 to 40 points in this game on the Steelers. I think this is one of those like, all right, we got Joe's almost back. If we can get back into this division, win a few games, he's going to be back for when we play the Bills in a few weeks. Let's go make the playoffs and make a run at this thing. This is one of the games you have to go win if that's going to happen. So I'm taking the Bengals this week. They're plus 194 right now. So that's going to boost our odds quite a bit. Um, as always, we'll have the guest picks come out with the show coming out. Like we said, it's going to be Luke Dobbs, who went 3-0. So if history is going to repeat itself, probably fade his picks for your own bank account. But yeah, no, Mike, if you have anything else, let it rip. Otherwise, I'm all good.
No, good episode. I like the top 10. I like her picks this week. I got no 0-2s. I got to get one. I think I got very unlucky. Bucks was the tough one. That was a tough one to pick. That was kind of a coin flip game. You never know what's going to happen. I like that you ride with the Bucks still. I still think they're legit, but good episode, good stuff. Keep liking and subscribing. Good shit.
Yep. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's make it happen. Let's get the 500. Mike, I'll see you, dude.
All right, Mahler. Good job.